Welcome back to the channel. No review in this video, but it is news that I felt was worth talking about.
Bing bong.
There was a leak a couple days ago, and it was confirmed by Best Buy themselves officially that starting next year, Best Buy will no longer be selling physical media, specifically movies. Video games were not mentioned, but if you've been to a Best Buy recently, I can only imagine video games are probably on the chopping block next. I watched a lot of other people's videos, and I wasn't going to chime in, but to be honest, my ego is probably far bigger than I want to admit. And I have a lot of feelings about this because most of the physical media that I've purchased has been from Best Buy. Now, I think that anybody who collects physical media is not delusional enough to think that it's something that sells well. A lot of us are very aware of the fact that video games, movies, CDs, all of that stuff, physically anyway, does not sell nearly as well as it used to. Things have moved in a completely different direction now. Streaming is huge. That's how most of this stuff is actually consumed, and I totally get that. But as somebody that went to school for film and buys movies all the time and collects movies and has a lot of pride in my collection, this is a blow. And it's a blow in a few ways. I think the main thing that I was experiencing was just kind of what's going to become something that was nostalgic. A friend of mine and I would go to Best Buy every weekend back when we were in high school, just browse the movie and TV section. Back in the day, Best Buy used to have a great selection of physical media, anything from DVDs to Blu-rays to 4Ks to 3D movies. If anybody remembers that, they actually had 3D movies back in the day. Those didn't sell at all, so they finally got rid of it. But it's crazy that that's really about to just be a memory. I mean, we kept it going on Black Fridays. Best Buy was always a place that we'd hit up. I guess this is going to be the last year we do that. If they're no longer selling movies, then probably not going to go there anymore, which just kind of a bummer to lose like something that was a tradition to us, and I'm sure to a lot of other people. It just kind of sucks. I mean, I totally get it. I know that this stuff doesn't sell well. I don't know the actual numbers. Let's be honest, if these movies and TV shows, DVDs, etc. were selling at Best Buy, they would keep selling them. Like, that's just, the reason they're not going to sell them anymore is because they're not selling very well. We actually asked somebody that worked there years ago when they first shrunk down their movie section, like what was going on, because it used to be fantastic, and then it really was just like a couple of little areas near the front of the store where they had movies, and the person straight up said like nobody buys them, so we shrunk the section. And it was weird because this was like, I don't even know, like 8 years ago maybe. So we weren't quite as understanding maybe as we should have been of the change in direction of media in general and how people were consuming it. But, it might have taken a little while, and now I get it. I think what I'm realizing also is that really collectors are probably the only people in the physical media space for the most part. Like, I think that if you're a casual viewer of a lot of movies and TV, you don't buy it. You certainly probably don't buy it physically, and it's definitely kind of weird to be the collector only. This is a space, I think, that probably just doesn't have that many casual people in it. If it did, Best Buy would probably still be selling stuff. This is disappointing. I think that one of the things that bothered me the most was how Best Buy announced this news, which it just drives me crazy anytime a company tries to act like they're doing you a favor by like making something less convenient. Like Best Buy had some line about, the reason we're doing this is so that we can better provide our customers with the newest and most advanced technology in this like ever-changing landscape. All this bullshit. Just say they don't make money. Just say you're not selling enough movies. You'd rather sell more iPhones and refrigerators and air fryers and all that stuff. Just say that. Like, we know the reason you're not going to sell movies and TV shows anymore. Like, we get it. Totally get it. It's just a bummer because Best Buy is a big name, and Target's probably going to follow. If you've been with Target lately, they barely have any physical media, like games, movies, any of that stuff. They have a huge book section, so I guess books are still moving really well, but movies and games, not so much. It's going to be a bummer because I live in New York City. We don't have any Walmarts, and Amazon, doesn't have a physical store. I think one of the weird things is this is definitely going to complicate a lot of people when it comes to collecting stuff, because I don't know, it's tough to describe, but there's just such a big difference between going on, Amazon.com and like looking for a movie versus just kind of browsing the aisles and seeing, like, oh, I didn't know this was out, or oh wow, I wanted to see this and now it's on DVD, like I'll pick it up. Those kinds of moments I think you can really only experience in the store. And if you live somewhere where Best Buy was probably the more dominant physical media store, I guess we're just gonna have to go somewhere else. So I guess this does kind of lead me into whatever silver lining there is from a story like this, which is just kind of an overall bummer. Physical media is not going away. I think that, any panic of this is the beginning of the end, eventually there will be no more DVDs and 4K and all that stuff, I don't think that's true. In the article where this news was first leaked, it was reported that Walmart actually has a 45% market share when it comes to movies, TV, DVDs, all that kind of stuff. And Best Buy just can't compete with that. So I think combined with the fact that they probably just don't sell that much, they're looking at those numbers and thinking like, if we could sell, more AirPods and phone cases, it's probably better than us trying to sell movies, and, we'll do something else with that space. Plenty of stores will still have physical media. It's just going to be a little harder to find. It could even come down to stuff not being as widely available on the actual release dates and having to just hunt it down a little bit more. Maybe pre-orders will have to become more of a thing. I'm more of a browser. I'm usually just like going in and seeing what they have. Like maybe there's something I forgot about that came out that I wanted, or there's a good deal on something. Like I think the thing when it comes to physical collecting is it's not even necessarily always stuff that you're like super excited about. It's more that you just love movies and TV, and maybe something is a really good price and you heard good things and you decide like, oh, I'll pick it up and check it out. I will say the hit on physical media here does worry me from a preservation standpoint. There was an instance earlier this year where I wanted to watch all the Scream movies, and I own a few of them, and the rest I realized I'd have to find via streaming, which was miserable. There are so many streaming services. I couldn't believe that a franchise was split up amongst like 3 or 4 different streaming services. It was one of those instances where I was like, if I just owned all the movies, I wouldn't have to deal with this. Like I could just pop them in and watch them, and I wouldn't have to go like searching and literally Googling what is this streaming on is one of the most frustrating things. Sometimes it's on one of these random apps like Pluto or Tubi that has commercials. You can't get around it. Like if you want to watch it, you just have to suck it up and deal with the commercials. This is disappointing. I think the thing that's hitting the hardest is something that a buddy of mine and I did for so long is going to become just a memory. That's weird when you're like 30. I don't know, like this stuff happens and it makes me feel way older. Like the idea that, it's like I remember when VHS, became DVD, and that was a huge deal. Like televisions had DVD players on them. It's just crazy that technology moved so quickly that within like 10, 15 years, that shit is done. Like places are focused on streaming, or they're just like straight up not going to sell stuff. Netflix doesn't rent DVDs anymore. The entire industry has shifted so much, and if you're somebody that just enjoys collecting, the industry feels like it's not really for us anymore. And I think I don't need it to be completely targeted at me. I get it. Like they still make collector's editions of stuff. This is a hit. It's going to become harder to find stuff. There's a small chance that Best Buy could reverse course on this decision a few years down the road. Maybe they don't sell enough phone cases and they decide to bring back physical movies, or they realize that maybe it's not as big of a deal if they just have a smaller section of some of the newer stuff. But that's probably not going to happen. It's going to be down to Amazon and Walmart. Target's probably about to get out. On the bright side, maybe this leads to a rise of the smaller DVD shops, the mom and pop shops that are still dedicated to preserving physical media. Now it feels like more of a responsibility on the part of the collectors of like, we really do have to preserve this stuff. Like we have to make our voices heard with our wallets and buy the stuff you like and support the filmmakers and all the showrunners and everybody involved in creating all of these amazing things that we love. Hopefully physical media never does truly die. because that would be a true gut punch. But you know, this news is a bummer. But we're still here. We're still collecting. We're not leaving. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.